Monster Energy, Haas Automation Ford. Kurt, big weekend for you, obviously, returning to your hometown after winning the Daytona 500. Talk about how that experience has been for you.
It's always great to come back to Vegas and to see all the different people and places that are so familiar, and actually headed to one of the local Star Nurseries to do an autograph session on Saturday while the Xfinity race is going on. And so it's neat to call everybody and try to get dinners arranged and shows. And I got to go to, don't hold this against me, but my wife wanted to go to Backstreet Boys. So we went to go see them, and she danced around like a 14-year-old on Wednesday night. So it's been wonderful. Vegas always has the entertainment value of the restaurants, the shows, the hotels, gambling. The Pac-12 tournament is here, the Mountain West tournament, our big NASCAR not a triple header, but our big weekend out here at the track. And the announcement of the second date. There's tons of energy around Vegas and the excitement. And it's fun to come back along with the Harley J. Earl Trophy from Daytona. I took it to my high school yesterday, and it was great. We did a spirit pep rally day for all of the Durango High School Trailblazers. So that was a lot of fun to go and relive some of the memories from high school.
Awesome. With that, we'll open it up to questions. Please raise your hand, state your name and affiliation, and we'll get a wireless mic over to you. We'll start with Joe.
Joe Manzer, FoxSports.com. Hey, Kurt. Ford obviously is off to a terrific start this year. Could you talk a little bit about why you think Ford as a company has been so fast out of the gate? And also, with all the speeding penalties in Atlanta, are you worried about the new timing lines here at Vegas, and how come that has become so challenging?
When we made the announcement that we were switching to Ford last year, it came with extra meetings and longer driver debriefs because we were looking at blueprints and different front-end geometry changes because of the Doug Yates' engines and how they're built slightly different with where the pulleys are and the way the belt serpentine system works, as well as the pressurized system versus unpressurized. So a lot of extra work had to go into switching our cars over to Ford. And when you roll up your sleeves with a group of racers like we have at Stewart-Haas Racing, it allowed us to go over the car with a finer tooth comb. And we looked at every area. When you're changing suspension components around and you have great Haas CNC machines to make these pieces, you can go through version A, B, and C and get a lot of work done quickly. And I'll tell you, though, it was a full-on effort to get these cars switched over, but I love the way that we went over them in extra detail. And Tony Gibson is a master at the restrictor plate races, and so his wisdom and expertise was distributed to the other teams. Rodney Childers is great at the mile-and-a-half tracks, and so his lead for Atlanta and Vegas really kicked in. The way that the rest of the group chipped in to find all these areas. It's like each team took care of one specific project, and the four of us have worked together in a stronger fashion than we never have before. But I tell you, Doug Yates' power, I want to say, is slightly better than where we were. It just feels that way. The aerodynamic balance of the Ford has more distribution on one region of the car than another, and it feels better. Tony Stewart being a full-time owner, Clint Boyer coming in with his ideas. We upgraded in all categories at Stewart-Haas, and so it's really neat to see everything come out of the box strong. And we still got to get through this West Coast run and get to Martinsville. And once we get past Martinsville, we'll evaluate where things are. You just can't go off of 2 races. Let's give it 5, 6, or 7. And then with the speeding penalties, last week was the first time we'd been to Atlanta with the shorter timing zones. Pit road timing zones used to be around 300 feet apart. Now they're 150 feet apart. And so when you're traveling at 45 miles per hour, 150 feet goes by really quick. And you have no time to give back any extra speed that you might have carried through that segment. So I have my lights, and the way they're set up is if I flicker red, I should be okay. But you're thinking in the back of your mind, oh no, I don't need to have any red anymore because the segments are so close. This weekend will be brutal. Because we've never had these timing lines here at Vegas, and then Vegas notoriously is difficult on speeders. So it's a matter of getting back to all these tracks with this new timing system. And we haven't been to Atlanta. We haven't been to Vegas. We haven't been to Fontana. But like Phoenix next week, we've been there in the fall last year. And so we'll have a better understanding this time around going back to Phoenix. So it's mainly the first time back at a track with the new timing segments.
We'll go to Mark and then Woody, and then we'll come over here.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Before I get to my real question, I'm just curious, you talk about memories at your high school. What memories just sort of clicked in when you were at the high school the other day?
When the gymnasium was full, the kids were screaming and yelling and chanting our fight song, and it brought me back to the days of when our high school team was really good at basketball. We won the state title in 95 and 96, the last 2 years I was there. And what's even better is the high school principal, Nate Miller, he played on those teams. And so there was only the couple championship banners hanging on the gymnasium wall because our high school was new then. Now you should see it. There's banners of state championships in all categories in the high school gym. Like Ryan Ludwig, a friend of mine who played baseball for the St. Louis Cardinals, his number is retired in the rafters up there. It is so neat to see the sports side of Durango High School so strong and producing such good results. And so that's why I made a donation to the high school for their athletic department of $5,000 to chip in and buy new things to keep their sports up to top levels.
Any of your old teachers around?
Yes, there were a few old teachers and a few students that I went to school with that became teachers. And it really hits you hard that teachers are really a group of heroes, and they're not talked about a lot on what they have to do every day to help deliver education to our youth and the commitment that it takes. I mean, I was worn out yesterday after a pep rally of high school kids. I mean, the energy that it takes to go and see all those kids and to shake hands, sign autographs, and to be around all that excitement, literally, it wore me out yesterday. So just a shout out to our teachers in the education system.
Okay, and I apologize for asking three questions, but the points as far as the segments are concerned, we saw over the radio in segment 2 last week, crew chiefs talking to their guy like, "Hey, 10th is right there for you," and another one was talking about, I think, a battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, something like that. How big do you think these points are going to be, and how much focus is on these points right now in the segments?
It's very important. I think it will be a game changer once the months show up for who's going to get into the playoffs. And what I mean by that is those group of guys that haven't won before, and yet they've got those nice segment points that have helped them bump up in points. You know, last week we finished 7th, and I got 30 points. The guy behind me got 43 points because he did better in the segments. You know, Kevin Harvick, he should have won. He was speeding on pit road, but he got 48 points, and he finished 9th last week. I finished 7th and got 30. So he got 18 more points because he ran up front all day. That's exactly what this point system is meant to do. And when you get those stage wins, those carry with you all the way through the playoffs. And so when you have a bad race in one of the early rounds of the playoffs, your bonus points will get you out of that hole. So right now, it's doing everything that the point system was meant to do, and that's to make everybody run hard and up front and gain points.
We'll go over here to Woody and then back to the left to Lee and Reed.
Woody Kane with MRN. You mentioned Phoenix a little while ago. I know you're a huge baseball fan, and spring training is coming up. If you're going to be able to take in any baseball, and just thoughts on Phoenix in general with the new package going back there and the announcement they just made about changing around the start-finish line and that type of thing with the upgrades.
Yeah, Phoenix has done a great job over the years of continuing to upgrade the facility, and the racing there, I think, is great on that flat 1 mile track. And with spring training in town, our race, I hope to match up and go out to Mesa, Arizona, where the Cubs play. My assistant's trying to surprise me with a trip to go and meet up with the Cubs, and so I hope that it all comes together. They're world champions, and I've been a Cubs fan my whole life. It would be great to go and just shake their hands and congratulate them on a job well done. And so we'll see if that matches up. But as far as the Phoenix race, the atmosphere there, and the changes that they're making, they're going all in. And it gives you this impression that Sperber, the track president, he's doing what he needs to do to position himself to be our year-end finale and to see his track host the final points race.
We'll go over here to Reed.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Kurt, I imagine from a hometown perspective, you're happy to see Las Vegas get a second race. On the other hand, from a playoff perspective, you're losing a track where you have 3 wins and a 1 mile flat track in favor of a track that you haven't won yet. So how do you view the trade-off overall?
For the city, absolutely. It's a huge win. And to listen to Chris Powell and to really digest what they had to go through to make it happen, we're going to have triple header here twice. That's big to have trucks on Friday, Xfinity on Saturday, Monster Energy Cup Series on Sunday. That's big. And then it's a playoff atmosphere in September. And it'll be a little warm, but we'll see how that plays out. But the way that this city continues to grow around sports, there's an NHL team that's now here, and the Raiders continue to flirt with coming down here. With the way that this town evolves, you see it as a win-win with the entertainment side and the sporting side. And to lose a date at New Hampshire, I think that'll really push the New Englanders out hard for their July race, and there'll be much more support around their race then. I haven't won there in many years, so I'm okay. I'm okay with winning 3 times there early in my career. I haven't won there as of late, and so it doesn't matter wherever the date is. You have to be ready for it. And now when you have a springtime race at a track, such as Phoenix, Martinsville, Texas, Vegas now fits in this category. All those races are that much more important in the spring because they are playoff races in the fall.
We'll go to Lee.
LeeSpencerMotorsport.com. Because nobody in this room really probably knows what it feels like, what is it to come home to your hometown, though, to a hero's welcome? I mean, I can't even fathom what it must feel like when you walk in the room and get that kind of adulation.
I mean, it's humbling, and it's a time to reflect and thank those that have helped me over the years. Even before the Daytona win, I was coordinating an autograph session with my old car owner, my old sponsor here in Las Vegas at one of his star nurseries. And main reason being that it's going to be 81 degrees on Saturday. It's a beautiful day. It's one of the first warm weekends that the community can count on to go out and buy plants and shrubbery in their bushes and redo their yard. And I was like, wow, let's go to Star Nursery. And now I have the Harley J. Earl along with me to show to all of his customers. It just makes you want to share because there's been so much given to me from this community. I just want to keep giving back.
And are you and Gibson strategizing the stages differently? Are you running them as races within races, even after seeing how, like Reed said, the points are just so important every stage going, even after the first 2 races?
Yeah, I mean, the majority of the points are still handed out at the end. 2/3 of our points are available when the checkered flag drops, not the green-white checkered. But, the second engineer, I saw him after the race, and he just kind of had the eyes wide open like, wow, we finished 7th, but we only got 30 points today. And we were racing those early stages differently than we would have normally raced. And Atlanta's different because it chews up the tires really bad. Vegas doesn't chew the tires up as much, but we'll see. It is a new, softer tire for this weekend. But tracks that chew up tires are going to be a lot of that movement like we saw at Atlanta. It'll be interesting. And then, Daytona, we all piled into each other after the after the second stage ended because a lot of guys stayed out on old tires. And the guys that finished well, they needed to come in and get tires. And so now you got guys on old tires versus new tires. And so that's what these stages were meant to do, was create the pit strategy movement and to create the let's gain points early in the race, and it won't be so bad at the end if we can't quite finish as strong at the end. But for me, I'm old school. I'm about going for the trophy. I want to stand there in victory lane and go, yep, I got the trophy, even if I got less points than the guy that finished 3rd.
We'll come to the middle here to Chris.
Chris Knight, GetFence.com. Kurt, I was just curious, with Las Vegas hosting triple headers next year, would you be interested in entertaining a Truck Series ride if you got an opportunity to do so?
Yeah, possibly. I haven't driven in the trucks in quite some time, even the Xfinity cars, but Vegas would do that for me. I would do it for Vegas to come out and try to run the triple header. So we'll see how it pans out. It might make more sense to do it next spring, and that way the focus once we come back for the playoffs in the fall of 2018 is just on the Cup car.
And we'll take our final question right over here.
Steve Richards with PRN. Kurt, I find it interesting that the Daytona trophy is in your hotel room. That's the first thing. Where's the trophy going around Las Vegas this weekend? What have you got planned for it?
Well, the trophy and the energy, the buzz and everything from Victory Lane and Daytona, I learned that there's only 2 trophies. They only make 2. You can't get replicas. And Gene Haas took his to Oxnard, California. It's at the Haas CNC headquarters. And mine, I wanted to give one to Monster. I wanted to buy one for Ford and give them one to put in their museum. And they're like, no, you can't get replicas. And so I just came up with the idea, similar to the Stanley Cup. We're just going to take it around all these different places. Earl is going to have his own identity. I think he's probably going to hit a blackjack table on Sunday night after the race. Watch out. He's going to bet all 500s because he's 500. We're just have fun with it. Go to the beach in L.A., go to the Walk of Fame in Hollywood. Ideas keep coming up. I'm going to give it to Monster for a week or 2. They can take it to the headquarters and do what they want with it. Ford has requested a day for me to go back to Dearborn, Michigan, along with the 24 Hours of Daytona winners from the Sports Car Series. And we'll all do a nice day up in Dearborn. Bring the trophy up there so it can hang out in Dearborn for a day. Whenever, however, whatever. We're just going to take it all around. And yes, it's in my hotel room. And it's about as easy as a stroller. It's a carrying case. It's got wheels, and you just throw it in the trunk and go. Got insurance on it, though.
All right, Kurt. Thanks for coming in, and have a good weekend here in Vegas, and good luck this weekend.
All right. Thank you.